Welcome back to Dubs Talk Live. I'm Zena, Keita, joined by Warriors legend, insider, Monte, Poole. It's been a while. I feel like it's been too long. It has been a while, yeah.
It's
been too long.
I've been doing pre and post stuff and a little bit of everything else.
I know. It's the desk is right there, but it just feels like a chasm between us.
Yeah, it does. It is.
It's all right. Well, he's
here. But tonight,
we're
back.
We're back. We got some things to talk about. The Warriors are now 5-8 on the road, dropped against the Clippers, 121-113 tonight at Crypto.com Arena. Not a really great place for them to play so far this season. But, Monte, start. What'd you see out there tonight?
Well, I mean, I thought I saw a team that showed a fight. We've seen that a lot this year. And they got down 16. They cut it to within one. You know, they got some good performances from Klay. I thought Klay was really good tonight. You saw a lot of grit during that comeback, though.
Yes.
And that's what this team really has been trying to do on a regular basis, but it hasn't always been able to do that. One game ago, you saw that the bench came out and did a tremendous job in Phoenix, scored 80 points tonight. The bench wasn't as good, but you saw guys come in and do what they had to do. The starting lineup changed a little bit, or maybe a big bit. A big bit. And, you know, and Steve Kerr said after the game, I think I'm going to stick with it for a while.
Right. And I think that the biggest part of this game, obviously, was the aftermath of the adjustments after Draymond. And you've seen the Warriors trying to find their way through those different rotations. But I agree with you, that fight was real. Being able to come down from being down 16 points to making it to within one. But that's not enough.
No.
They got to get some W's. And when you look at the Western Conference right now, looking at these standings, the games are not going to come easy, especially when you're on this side of the country.
No, they've played 24 games now, and I believe the number of games that can be considered clutch are up to 20. You know, that's how many games have been decided by less than 10 points.
Yeah.
A lot of 8, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 5 point loss. Tonight was 8, but it was 2, got down to 1, and it was 3 in the final minute. So keep getting close, but it ain't the same as winning, you know?
Right.
There's a big difference between a close loss and a close win. Huge difference.
And there was something that Kalena Azubuike mentioned during the broadcast of the game, talking about the turnovers and the amount of times that, you know, the Warriors are turning the ball over and then also putting people at the line. And you look at even tonight, I mean, even though they cleaned it up in the second half, being able to have 13 turnovers leading to 13 points for the Clippers, but then here it is, 30 times the Clippers were able to get to the line, made 26 free points. And then you think about the fact that you just said up to 20 games in clutch minutes. Kalena said, imagine how easily their record could be the opposite had they been able to control those turnovers and the fouls.
Yeah, I mean, the fouling tonight, you know, when the other team gets 11 more free throws than you do, makes a big difference. The Warriors won the rebounding battle.
They did. They often do.
Yeah, they didn't shoot as well, but they won the rebounding battle. The turnovers hurt them early, but they cleaned up, like you said, in the second half. So this is one of those nights when the Warriors look back, they're going to go, yeah, you know, we made a change. You know, when you go with Podziemski and Podziemski comes in and Kuminga comes in, you know, you don't have Draymond suspended.
Right. And
Steve Kerr decided to take Andrew Wiggins out of the starting lineup. Left Klay in, which was a good thing, it seemed, but took Wiggins out, and Wiggins has been struggling. We all know that. And so that gave Podziemski a chance to play, and Podziemski is one of those guys that just does stuff that help the team.
For sure.
I mean, you know, he's a little guy, but you look at him, the next thing you know, he's getting a bunch of rebounds. You know, he had 7 rebounds tonight, which, you know, tied for a team high with Looney. You know, so he plays good defense. He's just one of those guys that you put out there knowing he's going to help you do some good things.
Well, when you think about the youth of this team, that's what they help with, usually the defense aspect. But the Warriors do have a weakness, and that is point. Monte.
I couldn't help. Okay, my bad. My bad.
It's fair. We're here, you know, we have to assess properly.
Yeah.
So if I was to count one of the weaknesses, it's defense. Point of attack defense. Teams know they can penetrate against the Warriors without fail. They're getting the plays that they want. They're getting to the basket. They're finishing within the half circle, or they're getting a foul.
When they played the Clippers a couple of weeks ago, wasn't even full 2 weeks ago, but they played them out in L.A., and they lost another close game. And I remember Paul George saying after the game that we know they don't have any rim protection.
Yeah.
You know, and so we want to attack the rim. And so tonight, you know, the Clippers scored 48 points in the paint to the Warriors 40, which is a common theme over the course of this season. That's who they are right now.
Yeah.
If you can't stop penetration, which they have had a hard time doing that, and it's going to be hard as long as Gary Payton II is out of the lineup. And Gary's really good at that perimeter defensive thing. And they just don't have someone in the paint who is known for blocking shots, known for discouraging people from attacking the rim. Teams come in there at will, and sometimes it looks like a layup line.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that the Warriors have lived with for a while now, that it just doesn't seem like this year they're going to be able to live with it much longer.
And it's hard without Draymond Green, also not only someone that discourages, but also directs traffic from back there, right? You saw the skip passes that the Clippers were doing and being able to take advantage of. But okay, we talked a weakness, which is real. It's a real thing. But let's talk about a positive, about someone's weakness we've seen throughout the season so far, and that is Klay Thompson's slow start. Not tonight. Tonight he was our BMW Ultimate Performer, starting off with the first 8 points of the game, unanswered from the Clippers.
Klay is an interesting guy in the sense that, when he gets hot, it looks like everything he throws up goes in.
Oh, yes.
And this season, he just haven't been very hot very often. It's been very few and far between. Look at that shot. I mean, come on.
That's a quick release.
Yeah. That's a shot that Klay makes when he's hot.
Yeah.
And so we've seen it many times over the years. And there were times this year when you're like, okay, can he still do that?
Yeah.
And tonight was like, I can still do that. He made 8 threes tonight. That's a season high for him. 30 points, season high for him.
Right.
9 of 15 shooting, which for him this season is like, okay, that's what you've been looking for, because he's been in the 30s from field goal distance and in the 20s into the 30s now from 3-point distance. So Klay is he's a 40-plus 3-point shooter over his career, and he's better than that inside the paint too. So you got to look at what he did tonight, and if you're the Warriors, you're like, this is so welcome. Because you don't have Draymond.
Right.
And, I've been telling people all along, I said, okay, you're going to be without Draymond. I said, no matter what they do to replace Draymond, it won't matter if Klay and Wiggins are going to keep dragging things down.
Yeah.
And tonight, Klay lifted them up.
He did.
Because, they were down 16 points when Klay got going. And then the league got smaller, and the Warriors got some fire, got some energy, and they kept going. And when he sat down, they kept going, cut it to 1. So I think seeing Klay make shots like he did tonight, he also had 5 assists, which tied for team high.
Yep.
So you had a nice game all the way around. And seeing that, if you're a Warriors fan, or even if you remember the Warriors, the coaching staff or whatever, you have to embrace that, because as Steve Kerr said, he was phenomenal.
Absolutely phenomenal. Number one thing that I noticed, 0 turnovers for Klay Thompson. And that is huge when you think about some of the shots that he's forced or even passes that he's forced. He was patient tonight. He made the right read. How many passes did he make to Kevon Looney that looked like as if they were in a layup line, right, and running a drill? Well, I was very, very impressed with what Klay Thompson did, being able to perform all throughout the game. I'm sure his teammate Stephen Curry was also happy because he needed a little bit of help. But he's actually at the podium still. We'll hear some sound from him right now.
I'm super confident in his ability to do that. And the conversations yesterday were about acknowledging what's like, he can't do what he's been doing. He knows that. We know that. Everybody knows that. What that means to change, I think that's the search for the answer, right? Like, that's the journey that we're on now. I think the tone has obviously changed from, any other suspension or times of past where, I think Coach said it before the game. We're here because we're playing basketball, and we're wearing a Golden State Warrior jersey, and we've been doing this for a long time, and championships are at stake in terms of us being a contender or realistic contender, or even just being a good team. And he's a part of that, but you got to take a step back and, like I said, make sure everybody is right, mentally, physically, to be able to perform and take care of yourself. Everybody has their mountains to climb, and Draymond's are his, and I'm confident he can get over the hump, however long it needs to take to get there.
Steph, to that point, Steve made some changes, obviously, to the starting lineup tonight. He said he's going to roll with that for a little bit, give it a sample size, and see what it is that you guys have. What did you think of that tonight? The way that Klay was sort of able to bounce back a little bit, and then Wiggs' diminished role.
Yeah, changes were necessary, and when you're a team that's struggling to find identity and trying to find momentum and win basketball games consistently, you have to experiment. can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results. So I think the energy was good tonight. We did some really good things. We started off the game those first 4 or 5 minutes with a good understanding of how we need to play, and then we started fouling too much, and the game slowed down. They got easy points. They got back into the game and changed the tone of it a little bit. But to your point, Wiggs come off the bench trying to figure out how he can be aggressive and assertive. That's a big change. So, a challenge for him to make those necessary adjustments. Us to understand, without Draymond and the system that we run, how we create good shots defensively, how we, show some type of presence and physicality. I know we're pretty small out there at times, and that's just the makeup of our team right now. We have to be able to overcome that no matter who we're playing. And I think those are the glaring kind of issues tonight that we have to correct going forward.
Your thoughts of, Brandon, he's been very outspoken, about being around you, being around greatness since the summer. Rebound numbers is high, does, all the little things too as well, just like you do. What have been some things that you've been seeing from him and his growth too as well?
He just knows how to play basketball. He finds a way to impact the game. You can tell he's playing hard at all times, super confident in himself. I think, as a rookie offensively, it's always kind of hit or miss, finding your rhythm and understanding where your shots are going to come from. But the things that you can control, he's probably the best I've seen in a while at doing that every night. And that's all you can ask for.
You mentioned the need for physicality, having a physical presence. How big and important will Jonathan be for this stretch without Draymond?
I mean, he's over the course of his first 4 years, he's always been, when he's out there, he's trying to guard whoever the best wing is, best guard at times, allowing his physicality, speed, athleticism to shine. And he's got to take that challenge, in the starting lineup for sure every night, whoever that matchup is, and then find his way offensively, just letting the game come to him. So. I know he's super competitive, super willing to take on those challenges every night, and now he's gonna get, increase in those reps. And I know he's excited about that opportunity to show what he's about.
This season, this whole past stretch, been a different challenge for you historically, right? If you're working your guys away out of a funk, it's with your veteran counterparts, the guys that you've been around for more than a decade. Now it's really a group of young guys who have stepped up in the absence of Draymond while Klay and Andrew have gotten out of their funk. How has that been different for you?
There's just a realization that, again, you've been around this league long enough. You try to hold on to the fabric of how we do things with the group that we've done it with for so long. And now you're in a position where that's threatened a little bit. And that's okay. Like, acknowledge it. We have a lot of talented guys who are trying to find their way and increase their roles, and I have a lot of confidence in what this group can do. And until otherwise, that's our challenge. But the deeper you get into this run, I think this year, these first 20 games have kind of signaled it might look a little different. Roll the rock out and let's go.
Looks like he's coming to terms with what's going on. I thought that was a very stoic response to what's going on with Draymond, and then being able to incorporate the young guys as well.
Yeah, I mean, Steph has kind of been edging toward that change needed to be happening, for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah,
He's been saying that. He said, it was at least 2 weeks ago, and he said, we can't keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. And then you hear him just now saying that changes need to be made.
Yeah.
It was pretty apparent. He had changed. And we've been saying that for a while. They got to do something to change things up. And again, the last game, Steve Kerr took both Klay Thompson and Andrew Wiggins out of the closing lineup.
Right.
And Klay had not been out of the closing lineup ever.
Yeah.
That was the first for him.
That was big.
And so the
and
question
he noticed it too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And so now, going to this game, and Wiggins is not in the starting lineup. And if you're Klay, you're thinking, I don't want to be next.
Nope.
Not me. I've been here.
Let me get this 30 points up.
Yeah. He started the game. You saw he got those first 8 points. Like, okay, Klay is going to be like, no. That might happen to Wiggs, but I'm going to be okay here in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
And he came up with his first 30-point night of the season. So, but yeah, the changes had to be made for even with or without Draymond.
Right.
They had to do something else because this team, as it wasn't creating enough energy. And again, the way Wiggs and Klay were playing, they weren't going to go anywhere no matter what Steph did. And Steph right now, didn't play well tonight.
Yeah.
Didn't play well the last game. And so you've had 2 back-to-back games from Steph where he wasn't that good, and yet the team was close because other guys filled in. The bench in Phoenix, Klay tonight, and then again, guys like Pajemski and Dario and other guys contributed and made it a game most of the way. But it just goes to show that this team can only go so far if Steph is doing it by himself.
Yeah.
Other guys have to pitch in, and don't worry about Steph, though. He's going to be fine. As long as the other guys keep doing what they're doing. And if Klay can play like this more often, not every night 30 points, but just be more efficient.
Yeah.
And if the other guys keep playing hard, this team can find itself back above 500 within the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Everyone's seeing the writing on the wall, and they also understand what their role is. There is one thing that is helping them stay in this, and we're going to talk about this right after the break. The way that the Warriors chase down their own shots. Despite their size, they are efficient. Don't go anywhere. We'll talk about it right when we're back.
Dubs Talk Live is presented by Mancini's Sleep World. Visit Mancini's Sleep World during the year-end clearance event or visit sleepworld.com.
YouTube.
What up, YouTube?
Hey, fam. How are you guys? I mean, yeah. I forgot.
The YouTube fam is out there, man.
I know. I'm still loading up, so I haven't seen some of your comments just yet. But I'm sure a lot of you had some comments about the switch up of the lineup.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about that.
Yes.
We're definitely going to talk about what that adjustment looked like. But I thought it was really cool that Steph Curry had a lot of great words to say about Pajemski.
Yeah.
And I think it's worth saying, like, he struggled a little.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Defensively,
Yes.
he did not seem as aggressive as he's been. But also defensively, James Harden went off.
Yeah, well, James Harden is a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
James Harden is a Hall of Famer, an MVP.
It's quite the assignment.
Yeah, 10-time All-Star. He's
Yeah.
done a lot of things in this league. So just to go out there and sort of take that challenge, it says a lot,
Yeah.
And so you're not going to really stop him. When James Harden plays 42 minutes, that's a lot of minutes.
Yep.
But they needed him
Yeah.
out there for those minutes, And so when James goes for 28 and 15, you might say I didn't do my job, but the problem was James got to the line too much.
Yes.
That's what the problem
What
was.
is he,
So-
11 of
11 or 12.
11 of 12, yeah,
He
that
only
was
made 6
crazy.
shots all night, 6 field goals.
That's
But he got to the line so much to where his
crazy.
points went up.
Yeah.
So, but what he did was he controlled the game pretty well and got the Clippers good shots. And you got guys coming off the bench like Norman Powell, who made big shots. Norman Powell had 21 points. And
He
had
was a
big-
problem.
Yeah,
He kept getting
had a
to the
big night.
paint.
Yes.
at will.
Yes, he got whatever he wanted
With
pretty much.
ease,
He only
yeah.
made 1 3, but right, he was constantly in the paint, getting little mid-range shots, getting floaters going. So again, that's an issue the Warriors have and are going to have. I mean, I don't see how they fix that with the roster they have right now.
We'll see. Welcome back to Dubs Talk Live. We're here breaking down the loss the Warriors had against the Clippers, 121-113. Let's look at these numbers of how they fared against the Clippers. Now, remember, the Clippers came into this game feeling good, feeling hot. They
playing
were on a
well,
5-game winning streak. They're now on a 6-game winning streak. But look at how they performed. This is a crazy breakdown. 50% from the field, 40% from 3, and then 87% almost from free throw.
Yeah.
And the rebounding comparison. When you think about the Warriors in the league right now, 8th in rebounding overall, being able to keep up with the Clippers, they clearly were showing up their size.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because the Warriors, you say, oh, they're small.
Yeah.
But their rebounding is not small.
No, it's not.
So,
it's not.
But we've always known that, if you know basketball, rebounding is about more than size.
Yeah.
It's more about determination, about timing, about being in the right place, and about really wanting to grab that ball.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
you have to be alert to the ball. And so the Warriors have been better at that. But they said in training camp that they were going to make a point of emphasis to grab offensive rebounds. And when I was told that, my question was, what about transition defense? And it was like, no, our data tells us that second chance points are really valuable. And so we can get second and third chances, especially when that second chance or third chance is a three.
Yeah.
It deflates the other team because they played a long period of defense and they end up giving up a three.
Right.
So they kind of flopped and they said, we will try and be as good as we can in transition defense, but we want to emphasize offensive rebounding, and it's showing. It's helping them, but they got to figure out how long they can be encouraged by being in games without getting a W.
Right.
You know, you can only do that so long. Those moral victories, after a while, it's like, okay, we played almost well enough to win, but almost is the word that kills you. You don't want to hear that. You want to say we played
Almost
well enough
doesn't
and we won
count.
it. No.
I'm quoting my girl Brandy. Shout out to the millennials out there. Anywho, I do want to, get back to offensive rebounding, but first I want to talk about the switch up in the lineup.
Yes.
That, added some people that do that really well.
Yep.
In a Pajemski and also a Kuminga.
Right.
Being able to take the place of Draymond Green. Let's look at our friend Dalton Johnson in the crowd in LA. Steve Kurtu, reporters in LA. I want to give it a look. This group will start the next few games. Sounds like Kuminga and Pajemski are in the Warriors starting lineup, and Wiggins will come off the bench for the time being. Do you think that is the right approach?
Yeah. I mean, right now, what do they have to lose? We already know what they look like with the other starting lineup. And, okay, Draymond comes out and you put in Kuminga, and that, that's the obvious move.
Yep.
And what do you do about Wiggins? Because Wiggins has been, Clay's been struggling. Wiggins has been struggling even more.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I don't think this is necessarily Wiggins staying out of the starting lineup, but the way he's been shooting the ball, the way he's been playing in general, you can't keep putting him out there and thinking, okay, this will be the night, this will be the night, this will be the night, this will be the night. You got to give some other guys a chance because these guys have earned it. Brandon has earned a chance to be out there, and he can just be in the rotation or starting lineup, but right now he's in the starting lineup. And I don't have a problem with it because, again, he gives this team the kind of grit and hustle they need to be in games. This ain't the team of a few years ago when they had Steph and Klay and Draymond in their prime, and they had Kevin Durant. Different team now.
Right.
They can't
Yes.
just come in there and just blow people off the floor. This team has to fight for every point it gets and every win it gets, and you see right now that they're having a hard time getting over that hump.
Well, let's quickly transition to the bench.
Yes.
Right? You think about the bench last game, 80 points versus 30. Tonight's game was a little bit different because obviously there were some people coming off the bench that went into the starting lineup. So not as productive in terms of minutes and production and offensively and defensively, but we're able to have a 46.9 field goal percentage, being able to find some sort of production there, but still not the same bench that we've known. What were your thoughts on their performance?
Well, when you change the starting lineup by inserting two guys from the bench into that lineup, it's going to mess with the rotations already. It's going to happen. So this was a little bit of an experiment. But again, I think this is a group that can eventually pull things together as long as Chris Paul's out there keeping things organized. And Paul didn't play great tonight, but he'll be better. And if he's good, the bench will kind of follow.
I agree. I agree. And that was a big, I think, Chris Paul having a comeback game last game.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about that as much because there was other things, but
Yeah.
also came tonight and also performed. But when we get back, we're going to talk about what's up ahead for the Warriors. Don't go anywhere. It's Dubs Talk Live. Okay. My bad, YouTube.
Y'all go home.
We were talking to our producer real quick.
I'll be
I was
here
like
for a
looking
while.
at that stat of the field goals made versus attempted. I was like, that didn't sound right. But yeah, no, they had pretty decent. Chris Paul, 4 of 9 from the floor.
Yeah.
He's being so aggressive.
Yeah.
He's been so much more aggressive. I really appreciate that. 2 of 5 from 3. Remember when we started the season and everyone watching the Warriors was like, is Chris Paul going to hit a 3?
Yeah.
And every
Is he
single
even gonna
time it
shoot
went
one?
through,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
like in and out or
Yeah,
rimmed. It was
yeah,
just like,
yeah.
ugh, the whole crowd just like, ugh. But yeah,
Now he's
he's
throwing
been
up shots at half court almost.
yeah, he's coming across half court and putting them up. So it definitely seems like both him and I think Draymond were just like turning the corner in terms of being able to be aggressive on that. I do want to mention two things, actually. Catherine Gibson made two things that I want to call out. We've seen a lot of low record teams make it to the playoffs. Okay, that's one thing she mentioned. I like that. But then two, also wanted to get an update on GP2.
Okay, yeah.
What is that?
GP2 will be reevaluated in another week. So that means he'll miss at least the next 3 or 4 games. Okay. The Warriors, hopefully, and Gary, I know, wants to be able to play by Christmas. That's, 11 days away now.
Yep.
And I guess there's an outside chance of that. Right now, he is restricted to working on as in individual workouts, not with the team yet. And so in a matter of a few days, he'll be back with the team. And at that point, he can begin wrapping up to real games.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the update, folks.
There you go.
All righty, the Warriors have a chance to redeem themselves this weekend at home. But someone already came and talked to us and talked about how he kind of redeemed, I think, his NBA career, right? Because Gary Payton II wasn't the Gary Payton II we know.
Yeah, I mean,
and he talked to you about this on Dubs Talk. How was it with him on the show?
I'm so happy for this guy because, you don't see many guys keep fighting to get into the league. It was, for him, it was 5 full years. Wow. He bounced around from the G League. The Warriors were the 6th team in the NBA that he played with, and I'm counting, just the NBA team, not the G League. He's played more G League games when he got to the Warriors than he had NBA games. Wow. So he just kept trying and trying. He wasn't drafted, and that means 5 teams before the Warriors said, no, we'll pass. Thanks for coming, but see ya. Yeah. And so, but he kept at it and kept at it and kept at it, and finally got to the Warriors, and he said, Steve Kerr said, I just want you to play basketball. Don't worry about being a point guard, shooting guard. Just go do what you do. Ooh,
can you see that?
Yes.
That's unreal.
For a player like Gary, who doesn't fit into an easy slot, it's important to do that.
Yeah, so I absolutely love that. You can see why he has that affinity to the Warriors and that connection and that bond. So as I mentioned, the Warriors getting a chance to come back home before they go back on the road, coming up against Brooklyn, who's been playing pretty well, pretty decently, and then going against the Portland Trail Blazers again. Now remember, that game wasn't supposed to be the battle it was.
The last time, yeah.
But it was. And so they get a chance to go up to Portland, and then the home stretch. Boston, Washington, big game coming there for them, and then Portland again.
Yeah, if the Warriors are going to get better, this is a good stretch because once they get back from Portland, they're at home for pretty much the rest of the month. Yeah. And so this is a chance for them to find out who they are. We don't know who they are just yet, neither do they, so we'll get a good look at them.
All right, well, you know who we are. Zena, Keita, Monte, Poole, appreciate you joining us on Dubs Talk Live. Have a wonderful evening. It was part of the reason why the 2022 championship felt so special.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, there's so many things. Everybody knows his dad is Gary Payton. Right. Born and raised in Oakland. Gary grew up in Oakland. His mother's from Oakland. Right. So there's a connection there. And so, and Gary, whenever he refers to being with the Warriors, he said it's his home. It's home. It's the first place he got to where he said it felt like home. I mean, he'd been with the Bucks, the Wizards, the Lakers, the Trailblazers. I mean, when the Trailblazers signed him as a free agent, it was about the money. It was. They gave him enough money to where he had to go, but he still missed being with the Warriors.
I mean, I even remember when the Warriors went to go play him.
Yes.
Right before he came back. Yep. It was like seeing your ex that you still want, that you're kind of like, I'm not over you yet. We had a good time together.
And then they realized midway through the season, you know what, we gotta get Gary back.
And I'm telling you, it was like a mutual thing.
Yeah, he wanted to come back.
That's
we miss that dude.
We miss him.
Yes.
We had good times together. Yeah, I agree.
And so now, when he's healthy and on the court, he's a difference maker. And there aren't many guys in the NBA who can go out there and make a difference on defense. Yeah. He's one of the few guys who do that. He'll come on the court, and almost every time he's out there, within a minute or two, he'll do something on defense that'll give the Warriors an advantage.
Steal, deflection, something. Anything.
Yes.
You know what's exciting and really, really cool is you see that in Brandon Pajemski, too.
Same guy.
And to think that you could have two of
BP
those.
sees it, yeah. VP, and he was saying that, he was saying that I'm kind of, I'm trying to do some of the stuff that GP2 does. And in fact, Brandon's dad, John, calls GP2 twin.
Oh, right. That's right. Yeah, I've seen that on Twitter.
He sees the similarities.
Yes,
They play a similar
exactly.
game. I mean, obviously Gary can get up over the rim and get those lobs and stuff. Can block Wemby, which, who's more than a foot taller. But what their court demeanor is the same.
Yes.
I'm going to find a way to impact my team in a positive way. And they seem to do it on a regular basis. So,
and if it takes my body being on the floor, if it takes me every single play the ball went up that Brandon Podziemski was inside the paint, arms.
Yeah.
I mean, you would have thought,
Yeah.
you see that sort of fundamentalism in college.
Yes.
Right, where people are doing
Yep.
the box out drill,
Yep.
and you can't stop the drill until it's, you get the ball,
yep.
and you're just like exhausted, but that every time.
Yes.
Every time. He's so fundamental in that way.
Coaches love that.
Yeah.
Teammates love that. There were a couple times tonight in this game where he somehow got the rebound, and he was the shortest guy in the bunch.
Insane.
That's a nose for the ball and the tenacity to get the ball and come out with it.
Tenacity. I love that. Well, that's what the Warriors need. Some tenacity.
Some more of that.
As they go up against the Brooklyn Nets this Saturday. Come back home. All right, YouTube fam, we appreciate you joining us as always. Have a great night.